Right, hey everybody. I hope you've all had a great weekend. Actually, I guess it's been at least a weekend. Can't remember last time I was able to stream. My schedule's been so strange lately. First, my webcam going completely off the rails since I last checked it. Okay, well there, that looks better. So first off, thank you for the host, Rainbow Capo. It happened while I was getting ready, so sorry I wasn't there right at the time, but thank you very much for that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to start on a new, smaller project. I want to, well, I wrote up some goals here. basically I want to make a small project that has like a real-time multiplayer, and I want to prototype this cannon-based shoot 'em up idea I've had for a while. So that's going to be the main. Oh, and I also wanted to do level design because most of my games don't really have much level design because they're tend to be more focused on like randomly generated stages. So I kind of wanted to have a change of pace. So I just wrote some stuff here, but that's not going to be super important today because we're mostly going to be doing programming and not gameplay programming. It's going to be trying to test the network code because so I'm not going to use the same type of system that I used in the Lizard Tamer. One, because Lizard Tamer is turn-based, so that's quite a bit different. And two, Unity is actually getting rid of that network system pretty soon. It's kind of confusing because they haven't actually said what the replacement system will be. They just said that they're going to be deprecating the current Unity network code. Well, it made it seem like it was going to be in 2018.3, but I downloaded the 2018.3 beta and the new network code's not in there, so I'm not exactly sure when it's going to be hitting, but so that's why I'm not going to focus too much on the Tactical Lizard Tamer system. We might even have to go back to that game and get a new and update it to this new system. But instead I'm going to be using what Unity calls the low, or what is it? Okay, well, it's the LL API, which I think is the low layer API or something like that. For some reason it's escaping my brain, but oh, the low level API, yeah, as opposed to the high level API, which is what we were using in the Lizard Tamer. And mostly in this one, you use something called the network transport class. And so you set up a configuration here, which is pretty much just like some settings that you want. And then you can add these channels. This is kind of what was running in the background of the Lizard Tamer system. We only used one reliable channel, and what reliable channel means is Unity guarantees that every message you send over this channel will be received, and will be received in the order that you send it, as opposed to unreliable, which you can send things over and it doesn't really matter if the other player gets it. Some other differences is that when you send, well, sending something is pretty easy. When you receive, this network transport receive method also receives events and data at the same time, and it depends on what this network event type return is. So you can see nothing, a connect event, which happens when you connect to a new computer or client. And then a data event is when you actually receive data over the connection. And then of course a disconnect event, and the broadcast event we won't actually be using. That's if you have like a matchmaking server. So we won't be doing that. Also, I would like to have WebGL support, but as far as I know, WebGL clients, which basically just means a game that's played in the browser, cannot be the host of a game, but they can be a client. So for our game, they could be the second player, but the first player will have to be on a standalone client. I mean, I don't think there's any way around that. I wonder if the new system will be able to fix that. I don't know. That's just mostly because of security in the browser. So yeah. This is what we'll be trying out today, and I need to test some things because I'm not sure. Like, the high-level API will tell you when a client disconnects. and also assigns a client a connection ID. I'm not sure exactly how this system will work. I guess there's still a connection ID. Let's see. Okay, so when you try to connect to somebody, it gives you the connection ID right there, and that's unique to this host. Okay, and then yeah, when you want to send over that connection, you pass the connection ID again. I think. What happens if the host wants to send over the network? I guess the host ID would just be 0. Yeah, so anyway, as usual, the Unity documentation is not super clear, so we'll be testing this out. Okay, maybe if I switch to scripting API and I can look at, what was it called? Network transport. And then maybe if I look at the API, it'll actually explain it a little better. Okay. Okay, so this is what we want to do. To connect, because we're just going to do peer-to-peer, because it's only going to be 2 players. We don't really need to have a complicated server like the Lizard Tamer does. The Lizard Tamer server is pretty simple too, but don't really need to have any server. Okay, so yeah, we just connect, and the host ID, okay, I see. So the add host, that's where you get the host ID. So, but what if you are the host? Maybe... Okay, well, I guess if it's like the high-level API, if the client is combined into a host. What is this? Client socket, it's a server. Trying to see where it gets initialized. Oh, well, this is a mono behavior, so these are actually... Oh, well, they're not public. Okay, so we add a channel to to configuration. Then this host topology is you pass the configuration and then how many clients you want to be allowed. So I guess for us we just want 2 because it's going to be 2 players. Okay, well, I don't care about that UI. I'm trying to see where this client socket is initialized. Oh, here. So when you press the client button, it adds the host and then connects right away. Socket. Okay. Just trying to. Okay. So I guess the server button is if we were the server. So okay. I think. It's called server button function when you click the server button. It doesn't really. Oh, I see. Okay. So yeah, when you click the server button, you would start a server. But I guess I don't know if that's the same as a host, which is the server and client combination. I guess it doesn't really. Let me see. So when we get a message that somebody's connected to us, or that a client has connected to the server, I guess we would get the connection ID, and then when we wanted to send them something, and that's where we get this host ID. Where's this out host ID come from? Oh, so we receive. Okay, so this receive function also receives the host ID that we received it from. I see. Okay. I think I'm beginning to understand it. Let's just create a script so this folder will show up in Visual Studio. I'll delete it in a second. Okay, so first I'm just gonna create, I don't know, I guess network test game. And we'll delete this thing. Okay, so what I want this namespace to be. And I'm going to be using my the same like Beluga event framework that I've been using for my other games. Just because it's I think it works pretty well in organizing game logic. Song is kind of loud on my end. Okay, so now what does it need? Oh yeah, so the setup function is where we add all the classes. I guess I kind of got ahead of myself because I don't have anything to initialize here. I don't think we'll need any game phases, so I guess I can ignore that. Okay, so basically for this little test, I want to be able to connect at any time to a second player, either as the server or the client, and then there'll be a little character that I can move around on screen. And I'm going to be trying to do predictive movement so that the it's not jerky and it works with higher latency. Let's see. Let's make a game phase here. So we'll just have none at the beginning. So we'll need to be able to, I guess, first choose, I guess, connect type, which will be, we choose if we want to be the host or the client, and then connecting. And I'm not going to have any like fancy, well, I guess we'll need to be able to put a port and a host address, but I'm not going to do anything fancy like the other games. Because again, this is just a prototype, so. Anyway, so we'll choose a type, and then we'll try to connect, and then I guess we'll have the movement phase. And that should be about it. We'll want to test disconnecting here and then reconnecting, but that wouldn't be its own phase, I think, because that would just be in the movement phase and it would try to recover. So, of course, they'll probably have subphases, but this is state. And this class is just a helper thing, not thing, helper class that will automatically send an event when this game phase changes. Just, okay, so first thing I need to do is resolve and bind that class into the context so that anything that needs it can get a reference to the game state. Right, so let's see. Let's go ahead and make a simple interface here. What should I start with? I guess input field. I should probably have a parent object so that it will I can rearrange this if I need to. I need to add a rect transform here. I want it to stretch to the middle. This would be like that of the screen. And then the input field. Oh wait, I don't really want it to stretch. I want it to fit the elements inside. So let's just do something really simple here. Vertical layout group, and then I guess let's start over. Just center it. So it's centered to the middle of the screen. Probably better if I do it in the editor so I can actually see everything. Oh yeah, there's something weird that sometimes the canvas seems to be like backwards. Forget why that happened. Oops. Got an error here. Maybe that's has something to do with it. Oh, it's just complaining because this is public, but then the enumeration's not public. Okay, so I think this is all good. I don't really care if it's pixel perfect. Let's call this, I guess, connect panel. I want the child to control the size and the height, but I don't really want it to force expand. Okay, so now when I set that off, the vertical layout group is going to try to resize the input field based on its preferred size. But if we look down here, this is really useful when you working with the UI, and it's Unity kind of hides it. I don't know why, but click at the layout properties and you can see the minimum width and height and then the preferred width and height. So what it's doing, we can see here that the height is set to 16, but the width is set to 0. So if you want to give it some width, you have to override that preferred height or width, sorry, by setting a layout element or adding a layout element component. And then you click preferred width and then just type any value in here. Let's just do 300. Probably wider than it needs to be. The text not showing up. Oh, maybe it's not high enough either. Okay, so one kind of confusing thing that happens with the UI is specifically for text. If the size for the text field is too small for it to draw the text, it usually will just hide it instead of like stretching it. So what you can do, yeah, the default text field isn't really set up very well, I found. but I don't really want to spend forever messing with it, so I think I'm just going to override the preferred height as well and give it the bigger value. Text is still not showing up. I'm trying to type in it. Okay, and what I'm typing is going in there. It's just not visible. Obviously something is going wrong. Okay, well, first of all, it's not anchored correctly. Okay, I need to do content size fitter. So now the size of this panel should fit. Okay, there we go. It should fit the size of the elements inside of it. Just add a little padding. Not that it matters right now, but okay, what's wrong with the text? Because it even, the preferred height is 16, which is more than the input field. Why is this Z value so high? Maybe that's the problem. Because it could clip through the camera and you might not be able to see the text. Well, it doesn't look like it's the issue. Move. You can see the box, but the text isn't showing up. Oh, I didn't want to spend time messing with this UI of all things. Where the Unity UI is at once very powerful, but also kind of hard to figure out. Okay, let's look really close here. The text scale. No, it's not set to 0. Well, we can actually see the bounding box. But it still looks too small, doesn't it? Let's see. So I thought that the text field would take care of centering it, right? But let's see when I press play. Oh, so it doesn't actually change the position of the text. Okay. Well, then let's just add, oh no, I don't want to add like a horizontal layout group because then that will confuse the placeholder. I guess I should have set all these to 0. Maybe that will fix it. Okay, well that kind of did, except now it's not centered correctly, so I don't want to do that, especially. Okay, so let's just give it a little margin on the left and right. Okay. I guess that was... So even though it's supposed to be stretching, these are the offsets from the side. So I guess what was happening is the space was still too small for the text to show up. Okay, anyway, sorry about that detour. So what I want this to do is to be the address. And of course you can leave this blank if you're starting the server, but... And then port. So let's just do something really simple and say enter address. Okay, so now I want, I think that's about it. I'm not gonna worry about passwords or anything for this. Do I want to do that? No, I don't think I need to. I mean, for the other game, I want to be able to have a password and we'll like validate users and things like that, but that's just kind of something that I'd add on top of the network code, and I really just want to get a bare bones system working. So we'll just have a button. Oops, I didn't add it to the connect panel. Okay, it's really small because the button doesn't have a preferred width and height. So to get that to work, you have to add some kind of layout group, and then that will actually look at the text inside the button. Well, at least I thought it would. Oh, but the width and height here is 0 because I need to set a content size fitter. Although no, that's not going to work because can't have a content size fitter on something that's controlled by the layout, by a layout group. Oh, I know what I need to do. I have to set this child sets width and height. Okay, but then I also want some spacing so that it doesn't look. I want padding, yeah, so that the top and bottom doesn't look so squished. Although I guess, again, this is just for testing, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but okay. So then here we'll have start server, and I'll just put player 1 in parentheses. Our client. Kind of want a better term for this, but it's like the other game client that's dependent on the server. Okay. I don't know if I need to really do anything else. I guess we could have another text field here that just says connecting. But once we press the button, this will probably just all disappear anyway. Because I'm not worried about canceling or anything. Okay, so let me just play and make sure that everything works so far. Okay. So now that that's done, we'll really just want something that will listen to either these button clicks, and then we'll do the correct thing. Okay, so let's... I guess I'll just call this a start button manager. Okay, and this will be a flow logic container, which is just, oops, I said the right thing but didn't type it. A class that uses the Beluga event system. We'll want the game state, and then okay, I guess I'll need another class to hold information about the network. Well, no, let's not do that. Let's just have this send an event, and it will contain information about what's entered into the UI. So I guess network start event. Let's not do that. Let's do network start input, because that means it comes from the UI. And this will contain the port, string, address, and then I guess whether it's the host or the server. I could just be lazy and do a boolean, but let's do an enumeration too. have good code practices. So yeah, server, client. Okay. So now if I generate a constructor here, it will go ahead and just place this class into the constructor so I don't have to type all that out. But it's still complaining because I need to make sure that I pass this event system up to the parent class. Okay, so what I need to do is I want to listen for button presses from the I guess from the buttons that we just made. And I have a helper class to do that, so I'm going to add a new event listener for a button. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's in Luca 3, oops, not 4. Unity namespace. I think it's this button event listener. Oh yeah. So you can do a lot here, and actually I probably don't want to do a new one. I want to do from tag. Pass the events, and this will just be, I guess, start network server. And I don't care when this button is selected or deselected. We're not even going to implement that. But on submit, I'll want to be on start server pressed. If I can spell it. Okay, and in order to hook that up with this button, I need to add some script to it. Once it finishes compiling, I can actually do this. Oops, I should really organize these better, but so it's not the game object hook, it's the button event caster. So this class will send Unity events into my Beluga system. And so what did I call it? I think connect server. I don't think that's right. What was it? Oh, start network server. Okay, so I mixed up the wording there. Okay, and I guess I'll go ahead and do this for the client. I'll copy the component so I don't have to find it in that list again. And this will just be start network client. Hopefully we'll be able to get through all this UI stuff and actually test the network. Excuse me. Thought I might have avoided that, but okay. Now we have a callback for both of those. And all I want to do here is just queue a new event, and some other class will take care of this. So new network, start input. Okay, so actually I'll need to get the text fields to finish this, won't I? I probably... Whoa, why is this complaining? Oh, I forgot to tag this as an event. Okay, so in order to get a handle on these classes, yeah, this is one thing I want to try to fix with my Beluga system. It's kind of difficult to interface with mono behaviors, but since mono behaviors are on the way out, I don't know if I should worry about it too much. But basically I have this game object hook class which will register this object into a list that I can easily get a hold of. Let's just call this start network address. Let's put a field at the end. Okay, and then all I have to do now is have game object registry. And insert that here. Okay, so the only other issue is that we can't guarantee that this constructor is called when Unity has finished loading the UI. So I have a second callback which I can get a hold of using this interface. And so this do UI setup, you want to do any code that requires Unity has completely finished loading the UI. So basically we want to get a reference to those two input fields so we can read what's inside. This field and port field. Okay, so on do UI setup we can grab this by just calling object registry find. Oops, I thought that I still had this in clipboard. And port field equals object registry. Oh yeah, and it's still complaining because this just returns a game object. So to actually get the component, we just need to call get component input field. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm not even going to do any validation here because I don't really care. Again, this is just for testing purposes, so if there's ever any issue, it's not really that big of a deal. Do int parse and then type is server. Right, so now I could just copy and paste this down here, but that's not very good coding practices. So what I should have done is extracted this into a new method. So send input event, and then I'll need to also pass this through. And just so these are organized, I'll move that up here. Okay, and now for the client press, all I have to do is just call that function the client. I think this class is done. Oh, one other thing actually is we should only send this event if we're in the right game phase. So well, no, actually this class shouldn't care about it because this just reads from the UI. So it actually doesn't need this game state. Okay. Okay, so now this test game can just initialize it here. Oops. Oh yeah, and I need to set up the ticking priority. Okay, so one thing that's kind of important with this, well, really anything, but oops. Is you kind of want to be able to control the order that classes are called and then every update. But at the same time, you don't want to just like have to go through a list and call each update manually because you don't really want every class to know about the order of every other class, if that makes sense. So a way I've done that in this Beluga system is you can assign everything a ticking priority, and then the game container will take care of ordering them or sorting them. I'm not going to get ahead of myself here, so let's just have a normal priority. And the order here will be important later, but right now we don't have much, so. Okay, so anyway, what this does is it creates a new instance of the start button manager and also passes it every object that it needs in this constructor, so we don't have to worry about that ourselves. That makes things much easier. Like if the start button manager ever needs some other object, we don't have to go back here and change this code to have it pass through. And that's what this context does. It stores anything that the constructors might need. Oh, one other thing actually is I need to support this do UI setup. Let me see. Scene. I think it's called the scene load helper. That's what I want to call this. I guess it'll probably just be one scene, so I'll just call it main. And then I just want to add this class to the scene loader. And then at the end here, it's called load scene. It will probably already be loaded, but maybe not entirely, so that will just take care of that. But everything's still not set up. Why does it mean never signed? Oh, it's still compiling. I was going to say we just set that. The phase is never assigned to. Oh yeah, because I need to set up the phase manager, but okay, so if we press play right now, nothing would happen because this class is never instantiated, so we need to do something about that. So basically, I'm just going to create, I'll just call it the game loader, and this will be a mono behavior. Also needs to be public. And all this will do is on start, it will call, well, it'll make a reference to this network test game if it doesn't exist. And I'll probably want to have this be a static object. Just for future reference, but let's, I guess if we need to do that, I can, but. On start, we'll just create this, and then we'll also need to update it every frame. Not gonna do it for me. Oh, there we go. And game pick. Okay, so now if we press play, well, we don't get any reference that anything's happened, but if I click on this, oops, we got something. Not set to an instance. Okay, so this isn't set up. Let's. Oh, okay. Yeah. I forgot to create the game object that has that game loader mono behavior on it. Oh, we're still playing. Okay, that was... There we go. And I just saw from this, the scene main couldn't be loaded because it hasn't been added to the build settings. So what I want to do here is just rename this scene that we're working on to main. And oh wait, it's actually file, build settings. Okay, I guess it's there now. Okay, so not set to an instance. Let's see. Something probably went wrong up at the top. Game object registry bound for start button manager. Okay. I guess. Oh, I think I know what I forgot to do. Probably here I need to resolve and bind the game object registry. Okay. So I would guess that probably I couldn't find this class. Am I doing something wrong here? Oh, I think I remember. Let's see. I haven't set up the game object registry very often because you just do it once. Okay, yeah, so what I don't want to create a new instance of this. I want to just use this singleton. So here, instead of resolving and bind, I'll just bind a new, or the specific instance. Gosh, my voice is giving out. Sorry, my allergies have been a bit bad, so. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully that will fix that issue. Again, I want to get to the network stuff. Okay, so no errors. Okay, so here we see that it queued the event. Hope you can anyway. I wish that there was a way I could increase the size of the editor, but unfortunately there's not. But here it says event queued, UI button selected, start with network client. And then it's just saying that other things are listening to it. Actually. Oh, okay, so it selected it first and then pressed it. Next frame. The input string was not... Okay, so this is the error just because the port is empty. So probably we should catch it, but it doesn't really matter right now. If I do that, we don't get any more errors. So we should get... Yeah, this network start input was queued. So that means that at least that class is working okay. Okay, so now let's just have another class that will manage changing between game phases. Okay, so what does this need? I guess just the... game state. Okay, and go ahead and generate a constructor. Okay, so do we want this class to actually take care of setting up the network? I guess it kind of needs to know if the network was successfully created or not. Let's see. I guess it depends on how robust I want to make this system, but since it's just a prototype, I guess we want to kind of use a real pattern that I'd want to have in the actual game to make sure that that works. So let's not get too lazy. We'll just have network setup manager. Did I make this in the right? Okay. A lot of times I get my namespaces confused between the different games, and I'll end up typing something else. So here we'll definitely need, well actually I don't think, well, yeah we will, because we'll only want, I keep going back and forth, we'll only want the game state, I mean we'll want the game state because we'll only want to start a network if we're in the correct state. And I could have another class for the network info, but I could just put it in here because it's kind of a big deal. Network type, none, server, client. So we'll have the address. I can type it out. And network type. Okay. Okay, well that's fine. And then we'll want to add a listener for the latest event of the start network input or network start input. So on start input, and this will get that event and then actually do something with it. So basically, probably like in the actual game we do validation, but like I said, I don't think it really matters here because I'm going to be the only person that ever puts in this information. We've got to switch I.type. Although I guess we could just make this be the network type from that the rest of the game uses. I mean, why not? Don't need to make it more complicated. Okay, and so here we would do something different depending on what type this is. I think I can just do it right now. Let's look. First of all, we just need to make a configuration. Okay, so let's see. Network, transport. Net. Okay, and then what was the other one? Channel config, or what was it called? Connection config. Okay, so I guess you could copy the information from another configuration, but we're not going to do that right now. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff we could do. But really, I just want to add channels. Okay, so there's a lot here. Okay, so there's like a reliable. Okay, so reliable doesn't have to be sequenced. But we might want to have one. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, we're also going to need to have keep a reference to every channel index, so probably we should just make a new network info class because we're gonna have a lot of stuff there. Oh, this is called nets. Well, no, net state would have like connected. I don't know. This will just be net info. Okay, so yeah, we'll copy over all that information I had before. I guess I should probably bring that network type into this class because it has more to do, or makes more sense here. Okay, and so we'll want to have a host ID and then also separate channel IDs. I don't really know which ones we'll want now. Okay, well, we should probably test having a reliable and an unreliable. So, for example, you'd want a reliable or probably a reliable and sequence channel for like important events, like if you fired a bullet or an enemy was damaged. But you'd want an unreliable channel for like movement events because it's okay if we miss one because it will be updated again soon. So let's see. I guess I'll just have D reliable sequenced and chain ID unreliable, and again, doesn't really have to be sequenced. This is probably, if we got one out of sequenced, they're all going to be time stamped, so we'll just throw out any that are happened before the most recent one. I want the net info class now. We'll still want the game state, so I can leave that. In fact, I should test here. So if state phase equals, oops. Maybe actually do this. Maybe to make things a little simpler, we'll do it does not equal. We'll just disregard this event. Net info address port and net type. And then net info reliable sequenced. Okay. This fragmented, I think, is if you have a really long message, you could break it up into multiple messages and Unity will like stitch them together for you. We don't really care about that. Okay, so this is to be unreliable. Okay, so what's next? Okay, so I would make this host topology and this add host. So what does this do? Creates a host. Host IP address can be provided. This is usually useful on machines where multiple Ethernet cards are available. Oh, I see. But I'm confused. Is the host the same as a server? I think there's add server and add. Oh no, there's not. There's just add host and then connect. Okay, well, I guess this is what we're going to test out. So I think we only need to add a host if we're the host, and then when we try to connect to somebody else, we would get their ID when we connect to them, I think. I probably already have it open here. Okay, let's send. Okay, connect. So what does it return? A unique connection identifier. Okay, so that's the connection ID. Okay, but I'm confused. So what if we're not the host? Do we still call this add host? Because if we're not the host, so if host ID is us and connection ID, that means it's disconnected. Okay, well I guess, probably if we're the host we wouldn't call connect, but I just don't know how we get this host ID if we're not creating a server. So I guess we just always call add host. Not very telling what this does. Might have to do a bit more reading on that, but for now let's just see if this works. Is network transport add host. Oh, yeah, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So host topology. And we would just add the connection configuration and then the max default connections, which I guess we just want one. And then the port. Net info dot port. Okay. That's fine. But what I really want to do is we should add this net info into some inspector so I can actually look and see what these values are all filled with. So to do that, first of all, I need to make it serialized. And then I need to make another class here. What's this called? I don't know. I'll just call it the debug inspector. This is another weakness of this game logic framework I use because it's kind of hard to actually look into the classes. I've been trying to figure out an easier way to do it, but you kind of just have to create a mono behavior that will grab things out of the context. Oh. spelling. Okay, so on start, okay, first, not private, needs to be public, net info, and just on start, I'll need to get the game out of the game loader. Okay, well, this will just be, it's called, we can't guarantee that the game loader has actually been called already, or the start function has been called there. But I'll set that up into a second. And net info equals game oh, I want to actually get the game out of it. So this should be public, I guess. Okay, and then we'll just get the net info out of the context. What's it complaining about? Oh, okay, so I need to make it public. So I need to make this public. Not that it really matters a whole lot, but okay. And so to make sure that this inspector runs after the game loader. Okay, well first it's got to compile so it will show up here. So we'll give Unity a couple seconds. Unless there's an error that's keeping it from. Yeah. Okay, so it's just complaining again that this isn't public. Now it's working. Okay, so debug inspector is here now, and so we can see this, but obviously it's not really set up. What I want to do is go into script execution order and set the, where is it? Oh, right here. Debug inspector to run after everything else. That way that the game loader will run sometime during this default time. Oh yeah, gotta apply that. No errors. Oh, but also I didn't initialize this network setup manager yet. Clean that up a bit. Okay, so the network setup manager doesn't care about the interface, so I don't have to call the scene loader on it. Okay, and then I need to add the net info into the context here. Start server. Oh, okay, well it's complaining that I need to put in a port here. Let's just do port. I think it really matters. Okay, so we got a null reference error. Oh. That didn't have anything to do with the code I actually wanted to test. But I just need to create a constructor here that will initialize this. Okay, so we got no errors. But if I look in the debug inspector, nothing was actually set here, which is a little strange. Oh, you know what? It's because the phase is set to none instead of choose connect type. I actually did that wrong here. Oh, no, that's fine. Okay, well, just for testing, I'm going to comment this out. Hopefully I won't forget to put it back in place later, but... Okay, input string was not in the correct format. Oh, right. So no errors, and it looks like this was actually set up correctly. So we have a sequence and channel ID. There's no way to really tell if Unity is actually listening, though. Oh, because we didn't actually start it, we just created the host ID. Is that all I have to do, actually? Okay, let's look back. What was that one complicated one that you could like join as a host or either? Oh yeah, it's the client and server. So let's see. If you are a server, the server button, you just open a host. And if you're a client, okay, you still add a host, but you don't add the port. And then you connect. The server also connects. Okay. So I guess the server, you connect to yourself. Is fine, I guess. And then here you would just connect, and you still call add host if you're a client. You just don't specify a port. Okay, well, we'll just need to do more testing, and unfortunately we're going to run low on time. Let's go ahead and... So basically everything I've done here is the same. Oh, wait, what about... Okay, I'm going to connect... Okay, we still need the port here when we have to connect. Also, I should probably... set up some default values here. So the address field text, just do localhost, and then port field dot text will just set 0. Oh, right. Anyway. Okay, so yeah, this is the same for each. And then we change here based on what type. So net info. Oops. Okay, so for the server, we add a host with the port. And then we would connect with ourselves, but we don't have to keep track of the connection ID because we're not ever going to send ourselves a message. Oh, what was this thing? Connect as network host. Maybe that combines both these. Might be easier to do. Let me see. Let's just can't see what's open there. Connect as network hosts. Oh, okay. So yeah, you're gonna connect to the relay server, which we're not using. So nope, that's not what I want to do. Okay, so anyway, connect. Let's connect endpoint. And connect to network PR I think is more relay server stuff. I just want to do a peer-to-peer connection. I guess I should look that up. Maybe it's what I need. Okay. Create a connection to another peer in the relay group. Okay, yeah, so no, that's not what I want. Connect. Okay, yeah, this is simulated latency. Maybe we'll want to try that out at some point. Endpoint. Oh, okay, so this is like... Okay, for Xbox, so we're not going to do that. Okay, so anyway, just simple. So we'll connect to the host ID, which we just got. And then the address is... Oh, address, even though it's ourself. Oh, actually, yeah, we shouldn't even do this because we would just want to connect to ourselves, so the local host. Port, exception connection ID, what does that mean? Set to 0 in the case of a default connection. The error parameter will return a non-zero value if an error occurs. They don't really explain this. But they just pass 0. Let's see, where was that complicated thing? Okay, so it also just passes 0 here. I'm not sure what that does, but it doesn't seem like we need it. Okay, and then out, int, error. Guess, yeah, we can probably do that. What's it complaining about? Cannot convert from out int to out byte. Oh. Okay, so there we took care of the server, and for a client, basically the same, except we don't pass the port here. And we connect using the netinfo address. And we want to store this connection. Here, public int to server connection ID. On the new line, the address, port, out error. That's fine. And then I guess if error does not equal 0, we'll want to debug log an error. I don't know what to do. What was the namespace or the enumeration with that? Network error. I guess I just need to set this to 0 right there. Alright, so let's just try this out really quick. I don't know. Probably there'll be an error, but that's okay. Because, yeah, I need to go in the stream pretty soon. So there was something wrong IP address, localhost on port 0. So maybe we can't use localhost. Okay, wrong operation. Let's see what happens when I say start client. Okay, so I guess I just can't use the localhost. We can just use the 127 thing, the local IP address. Oh, right. Boing. Okay, so no errors. So I guess we actually did start the server. Let's see what happens if I click it again. Okay. Oh, it just keeps adding more host IDs. Well, that's kind of useful actually, because yeah, in order to connect with the WebGL, I actually forgot about that, but there's we have to create a second host. Okay, and that worked too actually. So we have the server connection is 1. Okay, so far things are looking okay. Let me I want to just add another to-do page. This will be network. Yes. Instead of doing that, we'll just say network. Prototype. Okay, so what I want to do here is add support for web socket, and this is for WebGL. Because I would like to at least support WebGL clients. But yeah, I guess on that note, now that we successfully connected after all that work with the UI and everything, I guess tomorrow we'll probably build a second client so we can actually see if it's connected, and we'll try to send messages back and forth. At least we'll just do like some kind of handshake to make sure everything's working. And then maybe we'll be able to start on the movement synchronization. So I don't know if I'll be able to do any work on this off stream. If I do, then you might see a little more on Thursday, but Thursday we'll probably come back and work on this. I would like to work some more on the lizard tamer at some point, but I want to try to get this project done just to have a little more multiplayer code under my belt. But yeah, I think that's about it for today. Thanks everybody for coming by. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, feel free to follow me here on Twitch if you want to be notified when I go live. It should be about Thursday at noon Eastern time. I think my schedule is starting to even out a bit, so I should be able to be more consistent, although I guess I said that a few other times, but I'm really going to try hard to try to stream every Tuesday and Thursday up until Thanksgiving, so we'll what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, I also have a Twitter where I post when I go live, so feel free to follow me there. I've been trying to share more development screenshots, and of course, always up for a conversation. And then I have Instagram, same type of thing. And I have a YouTube where I will post all old videos, so feel free to look there if you want to see some of my other projects or you missed part of the stream. This video should be up tomorrow night. And then, what else do we have? Oh yeah, a Discord server. So feel free if you want an invite to there. I'd love to chat with you. I'm usually there most of the day. But you can get links to all those in the channel description if you're on YouTube, or I'll put links in chat if you're on Twitch. And I think that's about it. So yeah, again, thanks everybody for coming by, and I'll see you Thursday. Bye-bye.
The goal of practice is always to keep our beginner's mind. For a while, you will keep your beginner's mind. But if you continue to practice 1, 2, 3 years or more, although you may improve some, you're liable to lose the limitless meaning of original mind. In the beginner's mind, there is no thought, I have attained something. All self-centered thoughts limit our vast mind. When we have no thought of achievement, no thought of self, we are true beginners.